Friday night, I want a Chippy Tee. Chippy Tee, Chippy Tee, I want a Chippy Tee. Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights, I want a Chippy Tee.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's have it.
What number are we on?
Oh, good question. I usually...
71?
Yeah, it will be 71. 71 coming at you.
Are you sure before I make a tit of me, sen?
Nah, it is. Definitely is. 71.
Couldn't get any more Yorkshire than that, could I?
You're going to dial them.
A wazzock.
Yeah, say wazzock. Wazzock. That's a proper West Yorkshire phrase.
Proper wazzock.
I'm having a cake of curly. That's what they say in Hull. Round Dale's neck of woods.
Cake of curly. I love the whole accent. I think it's.
I hate it. It's
awesome.
awful.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Cake of curly.
I'm not a fan. I Ailey hates me because I constantly... Ailey's from Hull, yeah. I constantly tell her Hull's not part of Yorkshire. And it is. It's basically France, isn't it? No, I'm not smokes. Sure.
Snake. Who's the comedian? Richardson.
Oh, he's not funny though, is he?
He's
incredibly
not, but she
unfunny.
is. But she is.
Know,
his wife, and she's from Hull.
I've seen something about that, yeah. Is she quite funny?
Yeah, she's got a good accent.
Hmm.
From Hull.
Well, somebody has to be funny from Hull, don't they? It was at least one.
So Haley don't watch this then, obviously.
No, she stopped. She can't keep. She gave me a bit more support in the first 10 episodes, and now
I'm done now. My moral duties have expired.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, that's enough now. I'll let you kiss me where I wee. Stop it.
Once a Christmas.
Right, let's kick it off. Let's get this show on the road. Let's try and rein it back in because we've been talking for an hour now and we've got fuck all done. So,
one day, what we should do is we should press record the second we start because the best part of every episode never makes it to the channel.
Yeah,
and we should just put the pre-show
early on.
We should charge you. Yeah, 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
Okay.
It took us 3 minutes and 23 seconds to say, welcome to episode 71. What does it pertain to? No guarantees.
Do you want to do it?
No. It always falls to pot when I start these little intros.
Falls apart and goes to pot.
Does.
Right. Here we go then.
Put the microphone in front of my mouth, shouldn't I?
Oh, yeah, we got complaints about that, didn't we?
Oh, honestly.
Fucking
story of my life. All I ever do, people complain to me.
This is it. Welcome to episode 71 of the Chippy Tee podcast, which is your chance to catch up on a video call that happens regularly between me, Tony P at Palm Print, and
Danny D at Flipping Sweet Print Co.
As we catch up on what we've been doing this week, what we've been playing about with, what went wrong, what went right, what made us smile, what made us wish we'd done better at school, and basically just a bit of a chit-chat. There's no real guarantee that we're going to talk about screen printing, but it's going to be loosely based around a topic that we both share. So we will throw it straight over to you, Danny, this week, because I'd love to see that fear in your eyes and when you start to flick you flick your screen across and your face goes lighter where you got notes. What have you been doing since we last spoke?
Show you.
Oh, God. Straight in with show and tell. You shot your load early.
You ready for this? Oh, this is a beauty, this. I'm so happy with this one.
Go for it.
I did have... I've almost, I'm going to use the word pile quite loosely. Almost got a pile of show and tells to show you. But I've realised if I show you more straight away, I'm doing myself a disjustice because I've got at least 5 episodes worth of show and tells now. So you might want to watch these next few episodes because I have a little bit of interest. You ready for show and tell number 1?
Let's see which one you picked as being your bestest one. Nice.
Not particularly in any order, but this is a beauty. Get that. You having that?
I am having that, yeah.
Even your phone got excited.
You woke it up.
6 colour, obviously.
6 colour on a 6 colour press.
6 colour on a 6 colour press. My limit was reached.
Under base?
Under base white.
Of what?
V2. No, I'm lying to you. V3. Self-leveling to easy. Deal with it. I'm not going to stop.
It's V3.
Oh, right up, balloons.
Well, V3 gets balloons.
Magna finally recognised it as V3 balloons. V3.
Big old area of red there. How did it run? Did it pick off?
Fine. It's not. No.
How many times round?
Oh well. Now I must admit, I'm a little bit embarrassed about this. I've slightly fallen into the habit of using. I'm trying to say revolver mode. It's not revolver mode, is it? What's the word? What's the mode?
Multiprint.
Multiprint. Sorry, yeah. I might have just. I might have just done myself out of a contract there. Might mention it enough. What is joking? It's all rumours. It's not true. I'm joking.
Revolver is the
M&R. Yeah. Spit on you.
Redeemed is fine.
There you go. I've been getting a little bit into the habit of using
multiprint. You nearly did it again.
Multiprint, which is a bandage you get out of jail free card, bit of a failsafe. And I want to sort of force myself away from that because it's a slippery slope. Before you know it, you're using it all the time. And it's unnecessary. I've got the skills to print wet on wet on most 9 out of 10 jobs. So let's not fall into that trap. But I'll be honest, this was a multi-print job. I mean, obviously there has to be some level of multi-print with a white base.
When your flash is not in line, because that's basically what your press now is not an inline flash.
No, that's right. There's no flash between the base. There's no flash
in line. So you have to come out of sequence to flash.
That's right, yeah. It has to pass all the top colours. Now, I'll be on, and now actually, it's interesting that you brought that up because it does lead on to something on my list, something I experienced for the first time over the weekend. I found that I was printing white, and then the top colours were touching and picking up, touching, picking up, touching, picking up. Now, that problem, the first time I've experienced it, and what it actually came from was going from T-shirts to sweatshirts, and I forgot to adjust to off contact.
Off contact.
Yeah. So that was just a lesson learned,
a little
I guess.
cheat. There's a dangerous cheat you can do with an MHM, but you have to be on the ball. And you can lift the front of the screen up as if you're a screen access. You know, the button.
Yeah, there's no way I could do it.
It's dangerous.
I need a space.
You got to run around the press, yeah.
I'd probably get trapped. I'd get stuck in at some point.
Under stairs.
that 6th and 5th colour's getting a bit, basically.
Under
I'm finding it harder and harder to get a 5th and 6th colour in that press. I don't know what's going on. But that gap's getting smaller.
Maybe Richard didn't nail it down and it's moving away like that.
Well, this building's on a bit of a slope. So it's just...
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
It's got to be. I can't think of any other logical explanation.
No.
Apart from all these Coca-Colas and Eclairs that I keep eating.
Yeah, I'd just put a padlock on fridge, mate, then you'd be fine.
Hey dear, well, I've got a project coming up which I'm pretty sure will shift a bit of baby fat, so hopefully I'll be able to fit in my press soon. So yeah, that was something that sort of cropped up. I'm trying to think if it was I feel like there were 2 lessons there, but I'm forgetting what the other one was. I mean, changing the off contact is probably the big one.
What you've got is a unique opportunity here. Most pressers, when we change the off contact, it can affect the registration quite harshly.
Because
it's on a shaft, it's on a central shaft. The only thing we have to worry about really is screen stretch. We've got to watch that we're not stretching the screen too far. And screen stretch is when it's in at the top and out at the bottom.
Yeah, if you put that too much angle in,
you're bending the screen and warping the image. Now, I say in at the top and out at the bottom. It's actually the other way around. you do your registration, so it's in at the top and then it's out at the bottom. What really is happening is you're stretching the screen at the top, and then you're moving the registration to fit the stretch. So it's a dog chasing its tail sort of moment. You can't win. Really, we need to lower it down a little bit. Anywhere where we have to use a thread to move the registration instead of the fuck's that? I'm gonna have to find that button and turn it off. I don't even know what that was.
The conspiracy that you actually just stay at home and record behind a green screen is getting more and more convincing.
That's not real, is it? That's not real. Not real in a hotel room.
Starting to believe that one.
I know, yeah. I'm in a cafe in Oxford.
It world's smallest pub in York, or wherever you said it was. With it, not Richard.
Craig, yeah. So that's thrown me completely off. Yeah, when we use a thread, we change registration because we can actually move the screen a little bit. The old M&Rs used to have a central switch, which basically moved the distance that the pallets lifted, because the pallets lift on an M&R. So they either lift up 2 inch or they lift up 1.5 inches. And that's quite central. So that was a good way to switch all screens. But what that meant was you couldn't get the peel effect. So you couldn't have it higher at the start of the print stroke and lower at the bottom. Everything was parallel and just up or down according to sweats or twos. Yeah, well, it's back in the day, that's how we did it. But now, more multicolour, more wet on wet, we realise that off contact can help us with the granny's kiss noise.
No, that's a very interesting concept, because I've gone from a manual where that peel having an angle is useful to a small extent, but more often than not, it causes registration problems. So I found myself on a manual trying to get as horizontal as possible,
as parallel
ever slightly. So one of the big selling points, or one of the things I was most looking forward to about going to the auto, is it's completely parallel. There's no room, there's no angle.
No.
Now, what are you saying that actually on occasion you might set, let's just say, the off contact of the back to 2 and then 3 at the front?
On occasion, I would leave it parallel.
I mean, I use it parallel all the time.
99% of the time, I have it like that.
You do?
Absolutely, yeah. This is it's called the peel effect. And
well, this is new to me.
If you look on the front of your press, there are 2 little holes at the front where you can slow down or speed up this peel effect. So you don't want the screen to lift like that, perfectly parallel.
No, you're right.
When it lifts perfectly parallel like that, it almost causes like a vacuum. And it
that
sucks
noise. Granny's kiss.
The granny's kiss noise. So what we want to happen is if we can offset, so like you said, 3 at the front or at the start of the print stroke. So if you print the other way, 3 at the back. So at the start of the print stroke, the squeegee comes down and bends the screen.
Yeah.
As it bends the screen, it moves across, and the natural tension of the screen lifts it up as it prints. So when it gets to the end of the print stroke, nothing's stuck to the underneath of the screen. If we leave it parallel, as we get to the end of the print stroke, the sticky wet ink that doesn't want to move is sometimes stuck underneath the end of the screen, and then as the mechanical bit kicks in, it lifts all at once. You know, why don't you pick up the phone and ask me?
It's one of those things that I know. I know this. I know this principle, and it's something I've done on a manual for 10 years. I've always had that little bit of angle. But switching to an auto, like I say, the parallel and the fact that to me means perfect registration. It's one of those things where I'm kicking myself a little bit. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's quite obvious actually. But now I've had a little bit of a revelation, so that's something new for me to take away from this episode. 15 minutes in to have a play with.
The peel on a manual would only work if you pushed the squeegee.
Is that right? Well, I guess because
your manual throws the front of the screen up, the one closest to you.
It does, yeah.
So unless you had it set like that, where the back, where the off contact switch is, which you would never do, because you're pulling the squeegee from here to here. So rather than front or back, I say the beginning of the print stroke.
Yeah, because obviously I run my squeegee at the front on it depends if I'm running water-based, front to back, or as you call it, back to centre.
Out to in. We got in's
Out
the
to in.
centre, out's the where you stand, the bit where the
And
soggy
then the
soggy
opposite
bit
for
is.
plastisol top colours.
Well, we print the same way with water-based. It's just that it prints first.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't you? Why?
Don't know. Is that another revelation?
So you put your squeegees in the same way, no matter what the ink type.
I put the squeegees in the same way. Well, actually, no. I guess it just doesn't flood. It floods at the water-based always floods, so the squeegee starts at the back, closest to me. But on the plastisol,
the
it
squeegee
pushes
and
it.
The squeegee and the flood bar are in the same place. So the squeegee's at the front, closest to you. The flood bar's at the back.
Yeah, that's right. So no, so you are right.
So the only difference is, so it still prints the same way. It still prints as it goes back, as it leaves you.
It just doesn't flood plastisol until it's ready.
So the difference on the W and the P on the MHM press, which stands for water-based or plastisol, the difference is water-based will print first, plastisol will flood first.
Yeah, that's right.
So you have to have your squeegees ready in the right position. So for water-based, we start with the squeegee's head at the front, and plastisol we start with the squeegee head at the back. So with a clear screen. So the first thing it does in plastisol is flood, and the first thing it does in water-based is print.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues I had when I first got that press was having my squeegee in the right position, and I was constantly almost popping screens by the mechanism being in the wrong place, so it would print with the screen up. So it was like excessively pushing it down. I was like, shit. Over and over and over. I don't know why, but it took me about 3 weeks to get my head around that. It's quite a simple concept, isn't it? But it's just one of those, you're learning so many different things.
Squeegee starts at the back with plastisol, starts at the front with water-based. When you have the configuration you have, don't forget the configuration you use with your squeegee and flood bar is wrong according to the Austrians.
That's right, yeah.
It's actually wrong according to the Portuguese as well, to the rock.
It's
everybody wants you to print towards the immovable object, which on the rock,
totally
and the MHM and the KTK is the front, the one closest to you, the outside of the circle.
Yeah.
On the M&R, there is no immovable object. They're both movable, so it doesn't matter.
So, what is there any particular reason you do it? You do it same as me, don't you? But I've seen other printers.
Yeah, the reason I do it is 25 years of programming. Every machine until these modern green and blue machines, until then, every machine printed away from you, and this allowed you good access to see whether the image was cleared, what the squeegee was doing, how the ink was running. So it was visually easier to watch that. And then when the Austrians came along, and everybody was sort of like, went, well, we don't like it. We want to print the other way. And they went, okay, print the other way. We don't care. But really, you should be pushing against the immovable objects. Yes, there's a difference.
Theoretically.
There is a chance that you can push against that back clamp, which is a movable piece. So you're pushing your squeegee against that back clamp, and it could pull it out the pins. Whereas if you push towards the immovable object of the front clamp, you can never move that out of place. It's fixed and rigid.
Yeah, so theoretically, that's a possibility, but because the MHMs are so absolutely beautiful, and if you happen to be at market for an MHM,
analysis.
you could get in touch with Potters at MHM Direct GB, and you can print it whichever direction you fancy, whichever tickles your titters. So the usual trickery, V3, plastisol top colours.
So I can see three colours. There's a grey, a yellow, and a red.
Right,
what's the other three?
White. Can you see my finger? White, grey, orange.
Oh, I couldn't see orange.
Yellow, red. No, sorry. White, grey, orange, red, black. There's a black top colour. And if you look, actually, you can sort of see... You'll be able to see it a little bit.
All right,
can you see? Yeah,
I can see a bit of shininess there, yeah.
It looks quite shiny on this camera. It's not that shiny IRL. Because you know me, I'm a stickler for shiny. It's not that shiny at all on here, but camera seems to exacerbate it slightly. So yeah, that's beauty. That was
I
a
like
beauty.
that.
I'm happy with that one. Episode 72. That show and tell now, that's a beauty. You wait till you see that. Bad boy. That'll blow your socks off all that.
Is that one colour print you did on white shirts?
Yeah. It's just a little chest patch that says palm print.
Need some more of them. I've got my South Shore on today, look.
It's a beauty, I like that little... God, do you know what? It always impresses me when somebody goes to 6 colours or multiple colours on a chest badge.
Yeah.
Because the common is just stick a one colour on. It's just a... You know what I mean? But they've gone to some effort.
Keep it nice and simple. No.
Save money, basically.
Yeah. It's a shop shirt. You can use it for practice.
Whereabouts are you then? Where's South Shore Customs? It does say South Shore. I live on South Shore and I've never seen them.
You live on a Long Beach as well, but you've just never been sunny.
I've never been to ISS.
I'm on Long Island. Long Island, New
again?
York. Yeah.
New York. Different
Long Island, New York. Yeah, it's not Long Beach, Long Island. Long Island is the bit that comes off to the right of New York, going towards the Hamptons at one end and Queens and New York City at the other.
You say New York, and then like a couple of shops pop to mind, and I think, I wonder how close it is. But with New York, you could be hours and hours away from any of them because it's massive, isn't it?
Long Island's about an hour and a half, so that's like going. It's like distance from Brid to Wakefield to get from where I am now, an hour and a half. So where I am now into New York is probably about an hour away.
Right.
Yeah, but then New York State can go up, and Peter Benway, where we were, that's another 2 hours before it hits Connecticut. So yeah, it's a lot bigger than people think.
Yeah, it's not just a city.
No.
And this shop is a big shop, multiple presses.
2 presses.
A little lad on a carousel.
2 presses. Moved up from manuals and Sabre workhorses. Great little set of lads. Again, only young.
Sabre workhorses, you know.
I know, yeah, not wrong with them.
You know, there's a couple of brands that people like to knock, and I'm contractually obliged to knock them. But those workhorses seem to be all right.
I don't see much of them in England, though. I don't know who the dealer is who supplies workhorse in the UK, because I haven't come across them as much as I have.
You don't see the autos, do you? You can get I've seen a few a few used manuals.
Yeah.
I used to have one. But you don't often see the autos, do you?
No.
But as a starter press, you seem to see in America, it almost seems to be an alright option, I guess.
It's a good cheap option, yeah. But like I actually said to these guys, when they first started, they wanted MHMs. Undoubtedly, they knew what they wanted straight away, and it goes from a heartfelt decision. So one from the heart to one with the head, and you go, right, okay, well, I want this MHM because that's my passion. I want that. I can see how it'll make life easier. I can see how it's going to give me good prints. Right, and then you look at the bank balance, and the balance says, you've got a toffee crisp paper coming out of the machine. It's like, no, that's not happening. Well, okay, well, what can I get? I want an auto. Okay, well, next one down, let's have a look at a rock. No, still can't afford that. M&R. I can, but I can't afford a dryer as well. So I want a dryer and a press. What can I get? Dryer and press. And you look and you go, okay, well, Workhorse and the Browns, which is what they've got, that's just about right. I can just about
situational,
get that.
Isn't it?
And then I'll use that to create some income, and then use that income to get the MHM. And it's this slow, gradual step. I think Alex was the last one that we saw did this. He's arrived at MHM, but he went through 8 presses to get there.
Oh, I know. He's had so many.
Supreme, yeah. Oh. He knew where he wanted to be. He wanted an MHM, but he just didn't have the money for a big auto. So
I think actually, to be honest, I think what he wanted was a pizza oven. He's gone through 8 presses and eventually landed on a pizza oven.
Yeah, that's the way to his heart, I think, through pizza, yeah. I'm all right for pizza testing, though, if he's up for it. I don't mind that.
Well, if he wants to post it, I'll stick it in microwave.
It sounded like it was free pizza, and I'm always up for something free from Yorkshire.
Well, if it wasn't a 16-hour drive, I'd probably take his offer up. But
so
it's an interesting conversation, though, isn't it? Do you get what you can afford at the time. Even
Okay,
though you know
well,
it's, or just maybe hold out and get the better press. I mean, from my little bit of experience so far, I'm almost. It's easy for me to say, but I'm glad I don't have to go through the teething problems of an old used press. I've not got the nuances of an old press, because old presses that have been around for 10, 20 years have been used and got hundreds and thousands of impressions. They can have nuances, can't they? They can have
oh
little
yeah,
things where you're
absolutely.
like, oh, you just got to kick it here and then it'll start printing or
Yeah,
something.
well, it always does that. Yeah, first thing in the morning, put a shit shirt on that first one. It never works. It works fine after that.
Something,
Why?
you know, little daft things.
Does it need a technician? No, it needs a priest.
I'm very fortunate to have the luxury of not going through that. What I tell my machine to do, it does, and it's been utterly faultless since day one.
We've got two examples there of the process. Do I rob every penny in the house and buy this all singing, all dancing press, which is what you've done, or do we get together as much as we can, buy a used press that's not as good, a bit dirty, wants a wash, and keep going until we eventually end up at the press that you've got? So it's a chicken and egg. There is no right answer. There's no good solution. It's whatever fits your finances and your situation.
Yeah.
I don't know which is the easiest option. Probably your option's the easiest, but you've got the stress, the mental stress of you've got to pay for it. You know. That blue thing down there, you know, it's high maintenance, like a new girlfriend high maintenance. You know, you've got to keep spending money on it.
Yeah, I mean, I used this phrase in an email other day. Somebody messaged me saying, "Oh, I've got some more T-shirts I need doing. Sorry to keep chucking jobs at you." And I replied, "I've got a new machine and it's a beast that needs feeding. Do not apologise. The more you can chuck at me, the better. I'm happy for it."
I describe them as little hungry monsters. All presses are little hungry monsters, and they eat shirts, ink, and screens. There's a side note, they eat money as well, but other than that...
I'm going to say, you missed the most important one out.
Shirts, ink, and screens. And as long as you keep feeding them shirts, ink, and screens, they will keep shitting out perfect little prints all day long. But if you have to keep feeding them those three things.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a weight off my shoulders once it's paid for and, you know, it's out of my hair and been making some good money out of game after all these years. So that's definitely a priority. But there's no right or wrong answer, like you say. Yep. Either way, it's situational. I'm so glad I've done it the way I have so far. Touch wood. Holding out for a better press than I could afford, even though it's took me a long time, and in some regards, I've really served my apprentice, and it's definitely going to have helped me on that thing, taking it to apart from shear and angles, because obviously I completely forgot that bit of the
peel
theory. But it's So basically, go buy an MHM.
Are we done now? Can we talk about printing now?
From MHM Direct GP. So yeah, you're in a nice little place in New York, Long Island. Lovely little print shop, 2 presses. So we've got 2 MHMs and a workhorse.
No, the workhorse is packed up now, so that's what they swapped them for. They actually came to see me down at Merch Shops in Florida 3 months ago when we did our first Advanced 301 screen printing course. And from that, they realised that that's the way it goes. So they put an order in for 2 presses. They were already looking anyway, but when they saw the ease of setup, the way that we use the pin registration system to remove one of the processes of screen printing, which is the lining up of colours of registration, it seemed like a no-brainer. And so their presses went in 2 weeks ago. So they've had a couple of weeks to get organised, get familiar, run with them. They didn't like them to start with because they're so embedded in the maximum pressure, maximum treble, bending a squeegee in half theory of print. which
Yeah.
the M&Rs and the workhorses are more than capable of bending a squeegee in half. They have the power, the muscle to be able to really squash ink into a shirt, which for some printers is fine, but as most of us know now, it's much better to lay on the top like butter in a muffin, as I say.
Butter on top.
Rather than squashing it into the fibres. When we push ink beyond, we want to sit it on top of the fibres. When we start to push it beyond the face of the fibres, and we look down, all we see are the fibres poking up through the ink, and it looks like a dull print. It's not a dull print, it's just that we can... I used a phrase, and the guys here loved it. The job of the base white is to kill the colour of the shirt.
Yeah, it's a good phrase.
We've got to hide the colour of the shirt, kill the colour of the shirt. And if we squash the ink so far into the shirt that we can see the coloured fibres poking through the top, then all of a sudden, it's not doing its proper job. All it is just squashing loads of ink down first for a base layer for us to drop colours on top. So the guys have the stencil room sweet. The stencil thickness is awesome. I don't measure it. I use my fingernail, and it passed the fingernail test. Let's put it that way. And that was really good. They do a 2 and 2 coat on the low meshes. They were using very high mesh counts for bases, so 180s and 230s for base white, which is 77 and 90.
Really, that high?
So they were using 77s and 90s for base whites, and the other press had the power to squash ink through those tiny little holes. Not enough to be bright, so they double stroke. So their default was double stroke on a high mesh. If they had dropped their mesh count on their old press, the force that they were pushing the ink through would have left a very squashed, very scratchy, very heavy, very shiny print. You touched on shiny earlier. I don't like a shiny print at all.
No,
I like a lovely matte print. And there was a couple of things. As always with print, I've gone off on a tangent. Sorry, just pull me back if you need to.
Sorry.
As with everything in printing, it's never one thing. I never go into a shop and go, you've got red squeegees in, put blue ones in, I'm done. Thank you very much, see you later, and I'm off. It's always a culmination of little things. And we've talked about this before. You use it as a mental practice now. Marginal gains.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to get on a t-shirt one day.
I'm going to get you one that's just a speech bubble coming out of Toto Wolff's mouth.
I know. I knew something would come in there.
Which says marginal gains. So, yeah. He's Austrian as well. You don't like your press?
Well,
we won't go down the road of famous
Mercedes will be my new favourite team from 2025. So,
Walker Lewis has gone.
Yeah, I can start to like them.
So, when I'm in a shop, it's never. Oh, I know exactly what it is. You're using bogey coloured green, and it should be this snot coloured green, and that's it. Off we go. They had trouble clearing the mesh, so we looked at why are we having trouble clearing the mesh? What could it be? Is it the mesh? They're using the thin thread hydro mesh.
Wow, that should be clearing then, shouldn't it?
180 thin thread, plastic all white, and the squeegees were in good condition, so it wasn't those. The squeegees were 70, 90, 70s, so they were really good. Then the pressure wasn't fantastic. We'll go on to. I can't really explain why without making someone else look bad, so we'll just say it was a setting that needed changing, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's slight adjustment.
Yeah, and we weren't getting enough power, so we'd gone from the awesome power of this Sabre workhorse to the power of a 5-year-old girl from an MHM, and it's like, thought these were good. They're not very good. My old press would have fucking mashed this ink straight through.
Yeah.
So we'll look at it and go, okay, well, what ink are we using? And you've heard me talk about this before, but I don't care. I'll repeat myself. There might be some people new to it. The ink that we use has evolved through the ages. When I first started, everything was black and white. There wasn't even colour. When I first started, we didn't use underbases. Underbases hadn't been invented when I started printing. How fucking old am I? So everything was directly onto the garment. So we used open 10T meshes. We had really, really opaque ink. It had to be opaque. When I put red on a black shirt, I didn't want it to look brown. I wanted it to look red. So I put shitloads of ink down with a round nose blade and flashed the fuck out of it so that it didn't smudge. All these different things. And then over the years, the inks evolved to be softer. We didn't like how it, you could walk around London and feel safe getting stabbed because no fucker would get through 3 layers of plastisol. So we asked for it to be thinner. So they milled it again, put it through the squash and make the particles smaller. And now we've got this second generation of ink that's, it's softer, but it builds up and it's sticky. So we said, well, can we have it milled again? Yeah, sure, it's more expensive, but we'll do it again. So that now they mill it like 3 times, make the particles super small. And we lost opacity. It's okay, we don't mind about opacity now because we found out what a white base does. So we'll use the white base to get the opacity and stop putting white brighteners and thickeners in the ink. We'll separate them out. We'll print the white bits and put the nice clean colour on top. And it worked for ages, and that's most modern inks now are like that. Well, this shop was using the sort of like the second generation of ink. And so the particles were big. And I'm trying to get them through a 180 mesh. 7%.
Yeah.
And it's not working.
No.
But the response, which is a logical one, well, it worked before I changed the press. That ink went through that mesh with that squeegee before I changed the press. So therefore, it must be the press. Good logical, you can't argue with it. It's a good logical argument. And then you look at some of the prints and the thick and the heavy and the shiny. They're completely acceptable. Not even commercially acceptable. They're 100% acceptable. And that's what their standard is. And it's nice. The beautiful print. This is it. It's a nice print. If I touch it, it's a bit heavy, but who touches everybody's left breast?
You.
After that restraining order, I'm not allowed to now. That's a lovely shirt. Oh, what's that feel like? There's no print on it. Get off. Stop touching me, you weirdo.
I thought it was eye build. It's the. I'm going to make a really bad joke.
No.
That would have got us cancelled.
No.
I'm going to have to definitely delete that. That's probably going to get us cancelled. Research. I think, you know what, though? You can quite commercially acceptable hammer a shirt. You can commercially acceptable hammer a shirt into place and get away with it.
Yeah.
But if you want finesse and you want to
I'm glad
raise
you
the
used
bar,
that word, because that's the word I used, finesse.
Yeah.
The difference between your previous press and your new press is you are now able to use finesse. The other was quite binary. Yeah. I loved the phrase. This is their phrase, not mine. They said it. It's binary. It either printed or it didn't.
Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it.
That was it. It was either printed or it didn't. Well, now we've gone to hexadecimal. We've got a load of different numbers and letters.
Oh, you nerd.
Sorry.
We've gone from 8-bit to 64-bit.
We have, yeah. So we've got a lot more options. It still works, but we can have it working heavy, working light, working subtle, working heavy, working mashed into the shirt and sat on the top. And
yeah,
some of the things they've said to me is, we didn't realise those very small margins, those very small little pieces made such of a big difference.
No, it's quite shocking.
We didn't realise that the difference between a mil of travel would have that much effect.
Yeah.
Because we thought it either printed or it didn't.
Yeah, it's one of
there's this big window of it printing nice and printing bad that you've got to look at.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the things that when I got the auto and I was playing and learning, the more I learned and developed, one of the things that hit me the most was like how the tiniest turn of pressure or, whatever changes what you get on your shirt. Yeah. It's quite impressive to, like, wow.
And sometimes only a printer would see it.
Yeah, well, this is what we're saying.
Sometimes only a printer would go, oh, it's a bit heavy on white, that. Yeah, but look at it, it looks lovely. Look at it, from 2 meters, we're moving around like that, it looks lovely. Yeah, it's a bit heavy on white. Oh, fucking hell, it's fine, leave it alone. It's a freebie.
Yeah, I mean, so over the weekend, me and Ailey started a project for Ailey, like a personal project, like a little clothing brand type of thing.
Yeah, sorry.
And she got to witness the perfectionist in me and the printer, Danny the printer, and she saw me pulling my hair out over stuff that she was looking at and she was like, what are you showing me? What is it that is wrong?
It's still it's words on a shirt. What's up with you? And you're like, no, you see that line there between those two colours? That should be crisp and clean. Well, it is. Not if you look close.
Fuck off. Listen, that was just the camera. The camera was set to a low aperture.
I apologise. It was low hanging fruit. I knew it would bug you.
I really cut deep that.
I know.
I was half tempted to delete the post and take a new picture that proved it were crisp and clear.
I'd have posted the Illustrator file. Said, hey, is that crisp and clean enough for you, dick?
Do you want to see me trap lines? If anybody's wondering, I had a couple of messages. Not even just one. I showed you one, but I got a couple saying...
Did you?
Did you... Well, not one asked me if I use a trap, so a clued-up printer who listens to the show, so... At least he listens to the show, and at least he's clued up. I said, oh, did you put trap lines? And I said, yeah, I did. And then he pointed out the picture saying, yeah, but it looks quite blurry. And basically, the aperture on the camera was low for artistic effect. And you could just see the ridges that kind of made it look like it were splodged a little bit. But it wasn't. It was very sharp and crisp.
You know it's going to be because you've got to look at it all the time, you know what I mean?
Well, she's not took it off. She's had that on for about a week now.
That's got Braille on it as well, has it?
Oh, Christ.
Right.
Good job to listen, innit?
Yeah. So
we've gone on a tangent. What was the main point of the
conversation? I did say you'd have to drag me back on this one, but it was basically all the little things. So we've got this comparison of a old machine that is well capable of mashing ink into a shirt, and now swapped it straight out for this new machine. And if we don't change some procedures, then we're not going to get good results. And they weren't getting good results. I've got to be honest. They didn't come and say this machine's shit, but I could read it in their eyes that they're a bit disappointed.
Yeah, underwhelmed.
They're not getting underwhelmed. Yeah, they're not getting as good a result as they saw down at merch shops. In fact, they're on the phone to merch shops. What are your settings? And Bryce, being Bryce, has said, "Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We set our pressure at 4. We set our 62, 90, 60 blade. We've got our angle on 10. The speed is this. If you copy those with this mesh count and your coating technique, there's no reason why you shouldn't be in the ballpark." And they weren't. Nowhere near. So, they've got insider trading information from Bryce of every minute setting, even how many turns back to go, and it's still not worked. So that, first of all, is it me? Is it you? I'll change. Which one is it? And it's a couple of different things which you wouldn't expect. One of them being, I'll come back on my tangent now, it's taken me all that time to come back. One of them being second generation ink.
Ah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That's where right roll there, the right trek around the houses. So, the particles of this ink are fantastically opaque, but a bit big. So it leaves them heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should name the brand or not.
You know what? I can relate this, and I'm not going to say the brand, but that one job that we've just been joking about, the pink, the magenta, and you'll probably know this, it's very difficult to get a hot pink, a fluorescent magenta
that is opaque. So you use Max Opaque.
It's very hard to find a pink that is maximum opacity.
Yeah. So and that is a second generation.
That was a bugger to clear. I'll give you that. So I know exactly what you're saying.
It's a very similar ink, but it's made by King Arthur and his sword. You either know or you don't.
It's what? It's pork sword?
It's pork sword.
Oh, no, not that one.
So, although the white is opaque, it has big particles. It's difficult to print. It needs a lot of force, a lot of pressure to be able to print it. Now, luckily, there's an ink dealer 20 minutes down the road. So I know it's this ink, but it's not my job to go in and tell them they're using the wrong ink. It's my job to get the best out of what they're using already.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a salesman. I've got no affiliation with any ink. I've got my own favourites, but they don't want to use Magna Water Best. So, so I'm like, okay, well, there's an ink dealer down the road. If he's got some Wilflex, I think it's Wilflex Quick.
Wilflex what? Quick
White.
Never heard of that one.
Quick White. I think it's Quick White. It's a low bleed. Basically, just one little pot of that would prove my theory that it's actually this ink is making your life difficult now with this press. Whereas it didn't matter. It was either on or off. It was binary, either printed or it didn't. Now we're in these fine nuances. Getting an ink that will reflect those nuances will help you. So 20 minutes later, a tub of ink turned up. We threw it in, cleared the mesh straight away. Same parameters, same settings, same blade, same speed, same angle, same everything, and it cleared the mesh.
Yeah.
Now, there is still this argument that I can't answer. That, well, it worked before on my other press. Why doesn't it work on this press? Is this press not as good? No, it is. It's just we are using finesse now. We were using brute force. But now I'm sure there's a boxing analogy you can use. You know, we've gone from a big battler like Fury, and we've switched to Muhammad Ali, which is sort of like a bit more delicate. No,
that's a bad comparison.
I don't know. I'll let you make one. One bruiser and one technician.
Yeah, a bit of a scrapper.
Yeah,
but you've gone from a Tyson to. Lomachenko.
Oh, Lomachenko.
And only boxing fans would know that one.
That sounds that sounds like a cake.
Your mate, not Leo Santa Cruz. Oh, for fuck's sake, I forgot his name now.
Tomo.
No. Oh, that's really annoying. I flipping watched it. Oh, anyway, it stunk. He got gifted a decision. It stunk the place out. If ever there was a fight to encourage you to never take up watching boxing, that was the one.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Don't go out your way to watch it.
Did I tell you?
It's atrocious.
He turned up on the side of the press. It was what he helped us.
Yeah.
Print.
How crazy!
So he was there, and I could have had tickets to go watch the match, but the fight. But I was.
Thank God you didn't, mate. Flipping Jesus Christ! I don't believe I watched that. I'll never get them hours of my life back.
Vegas were busy that week anyway, so.
Yeah. Smashing. Now, what we don't want to do, what we've got to be careful in now, is to not just start dismissing certain high opacity inks as bad ink. That's not the case. It's just for us. Don't forget, we have different inks for certain circumstances and different people's needs. And it just so happens that really this fella could really do with something with that little bit more finesse now.
That's all it was.
And that's all it is.
Yeah, we swapped for a. Sometimes I do categorise them, and this was probably wrong, as a manual and an auto ink. So
I can see what you're saying.
The manual ink, you have a little bit more tactile feedback. You know when it's not printing. You know when it is printing. You can give it a double swipe if need be, and it's all about getting as much ink down as possible using as little effort as possible. So
and you can manhandle it.
Yeah, you can. So that ink is great for that purpose. When we go to a multicolour print on high mesh counts, high tension, thin thread, everything about it is at the high end. The press, the squeegee selection, the mesh selection, the coating technique, the artwork is superb. And then we hit it with what can only be described as a manual printing ink. So, we have to step up. But as is always the case, there's a cost applied. I would say that usually the average cost of all mixed colours on the shelf, when you have 1 to 2 autos and you've been running for 3 to 4 years, you've got about $5 to $7 in mixed colours sat on the shelf.
Yeah.
Depending on how busy you are. So if you have that, you've got a one press, and you've only just started. You've not even done a year yet, but you're seeing how much. If you don't manage the ink, if you mix a litre of every colour, it's very easily you'll get 1,700 litres on. On the shelf.
Something I quickly stopped doing. When you're space limited, you tend to mix enough for a job, or just ever so slightly over.
Yeah, it's difficult. And so what you end up with is a stock of mixed colours, because you don't want to be mixing 100 grams of 185 every 2 minutes.
No.
So 185 is going to, you've got some stock colours that always mix, and you've always got a stock of them. And then, more and more designers have got a Pantone book, and they're replacing 185 with 1775 or with another red or a 73624B. You're like, where the hell's that come from? And you find out that Pantone have just released a new version that you haven't got. So you end up with 17 different reds on the shelf, and really they're all the same. They're all, fire engine red, to be honest. Yeah, yeah, they're all fire engine red. Dog pecker pink, that's my favourite colour.
Dog pecker pink. I'm going to tell Ailey that. Do you know what colour that on that sweatshirt?
It's
dog pecker pink, that. Lipstick red.
Dog pecker pink. So,
Pony Talmer. Oh, fuck, nearly fell off my chair. I only just said that, sorry.
So your phone beeping or mine?
That's Ailey telling me to stop calling it dog pecker pink. Getting hellfire.
So changing ink systems is a big decision. If you've been using a mixing system for 5 years, you've got a big stock. Now, the unopened stock, you can do a deal. You can send it back to the distributor. They'll be fine with it. They'll do you a deal. They want to keep your business. They'll be nice with you. But the mixed colours, they have no value to anybody except maybe a local art and crafts guy down the road who prints for fun.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. But I think it's a decision that has to be made.
You have to think long term, don't you?
Something we don't really talk about much, and I didn't talk about it much because I didn't think it was a problem. I've seen it a couple of times over the last couple of years. Build-up.
Ink build-up underneath.
Ink build-up underneath the screen. Now, I don't mean ink build-up as in wet on wet. Are you cold?
No, I'm just burping.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, I'll try to do it.
No, you didn't get away with it. You didn't disguise it. Ink build-up is a true indicator of a second generation ink rather than a third generation one.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I've told the story, but I was printing for a place in Leeds. Big place, 5 presses, lots and lots of multiple impressions. We wouldn't do small jobs. Everything was 10 to 15,000. And 180,000 was one of the jobs. The mask, somebody stopped me. We put it on one day and it was still on about 6 months later.
How long did that take?
Probably about 6 months.
That's
3,000
crazy,
a day. We did 3,000 a day every day. That was the target.
What's more to see?
On an old M&R.
Wow. I bet it were rough as fuck.
With pneumatic print heads.
Oh, wow. But only flooded halfway.
Yeah.
That's the type of job I'd retire off.
Well, it paid for the press.
After that.
It paid for the press.
Yeah, I bet it did.
Simple as that.
No.
One job paid for the press, and that's how things used to work. You get this, you get this press because you know this one marathon job or this one woodpecker cider, rugby World Cup. All these jobs, they pay for the press. There's that much in it, and it's actually that's the gold job that these presses were designed to print.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what they're meant for, isn't it?
That's exactly what they're meant for. They're not meant to be set up 5, 6, 7 times a day.
No, definitely not.
It's not what they're for. They're meant to be set and forget.
Although, I mean, that's exactly right. But it makes you, the MHM eliminates that, so you've almost like MHM stepping into the future. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
We are good at it. You want to get us an MHM, if you're not got one.
You never said. It's accidental.
I'm going to say I don't feel like it was on purpose because it is a machine that is built for long runs. You can tell the build type. It's a tank, and you can tell it's made for the big boys.
The multiple setup in a day. The benefit of the MHM doesn't really come from the MHM. It comes from the CTS.
Yeah, it just so happens the pin system.
Yeah,
makes it.
So that's
possible.
where it comes from. It comes from the CTS.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me a question yesterday on Instagram. Is this possible on an older MHM? Absolutely. It's possible on an MHM made in 1987, which there are still some around, because they used the pin system back then. So if you make your screens on a modern day Spider or Dalfit or Kiwo or Lucia or whatever it is that you're making your screens on, and it uses the pin system. Did you see one? You know, David Dickinson found a bargain one, don't you?
Oh, you can kiss my ass. She never has. She's got a freestyler.
No,
fucking 16 quid.
I don't think she bought it. I'm like, she was tempted to, but I don't think she's bought it. 1,500 quid.
How much? How much have I normally? Like closer to 10? 15?
Grand, 10 to 12 grand. Yeah.
I know someone who's just got one. Well, we both know someone who's just got one. And I know actually they're quite positive about it. But it's not straightforward.
For now.
Give
it time. Give it time.
Yeah. Quite positive, but also I do know it's not been straightforward.
No. Yeah. I'm not gonna run it down because it's not fair.
Because you've done that plenty before.
Everybody knows my opinion of them, whether it's right or wrong. It's my opinion. But yeah, second-hand one for next to no. I'm like, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. I'm tempted.
Never sends me then, does she?
Don't buy it. She's probably bought it now by now, actually.
Should have bought it and flogged it on.
Yeah.
Made a profit.
Yeah. Yeah, so the CTS, that's the secret to the pin system. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll stop using brands and we'll go right back to, if you hold the screen in your printing machine in exactly the same method you used to image your screen, which is an outside method, not using the dimensions of the frame, then you will always get perfect pin registration. If you look outside of textile screen printing, and we look at the high-end paper printing with the high-resolution documents that we covered, before, they have a pin system. Whether it's male into female or female into male, it doesn't matter. But there is a pin registration system because we can control the manufacture of the pin to a tolerance of 0.02 millimeter. And we can control the manufacture of the hole that the pin sits into to 0.02 of a millimeter. Once that is nailed, you basically do just slot the screen into its position, and there's no reason for it to ever move. And you can do that with an old 1982 machine or a brand spanking new 56 pallet oval that they're just putting into Bangladesh at the minute. It doesn't matter.
6.
I know, it's huge. Yeah.
So how many colours will that be? The ovals...
No, in Bangladesh it'll print 3 colours. print, flash. Cool, print. Print, flash. Cool. All the same colour. It'll just be white.
Do they just leave shirts out in sun to cure?
They used to do. They
probably work. Working.
Well, Monotex. You remember Monotex?
Not really.
Monotex was a full brand from Sericol, I believe, and you hung it up to dry.
No way. Is it?
You hung it up to dry. Don't forget, water-based ink, Aquaflex, all these, they all rely on a chemical I want to
Catalyst?
call it a catalyst, but it's more of a cross-linker. And I'm not a chemist. We'll just leave it as a chemical. And this chemical bonds to the fabric only once all the water has been removed from its carrier base.
Yeah.
So while ever it's immersed in water, it will last for 1 to 2 years. But as soon as we remove the water, then the chemical reaction happens where it bonds to the fabric.
Yeah.
That's a really, really simplified version of a really complex chemical process. So sorry if Teresa's listening, she'd be like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. So, but it's a very simplified process of an explanation of the process. So then we were left with, okay, so how do we remove the water? Well, we can expose it to 160 degrees for 2 minutes, so that removes all the water. Or we can hang it up outside to dry. And we hang it up outside. Ceracol Monotex used to be a 24-hour dry. So as long as you had space to dry, to hang up, and when we were printing panels, it was very easy to just peg panels out or lay panels out. And 24 hours later, it was cured. Cold cure. Some people still call it cold cure.
Cold cure. There's probably room at some point to, maybe not that, but I feel like we need to find an ink technology that eliminates heat or at least reduces it significantly. I don't know, the problem is for shelf life.
Crosslinker 500. You put Crosslinker 500 into your white, the shelf life's 8 hours, but it will dry as soon as all the water's gone.
I believe, we have touched on this, and if I'm not wrong, all water-based ink has a crosslinker, but it's just a percentage of it requires a helping hand to remove the moisture. Whereas if you add more crosslinker, that's when the shelf life reduces, but it will just dry just by by sitting there.
Which then makes it impossible to dry. It makes it very difficult to print because it's starting to dry as it's open to
you're printing,
as evaporation, removing the water.
UV ink, that's where we're going. Chippy Tee UV.
Yeah,
that'll solve all the world's problems. Imagine if somebody invented that. Like, you shouldn't underplay it, and we can't underplay it. That would have a significant impact on the tree huggers because the amount of emissions and energy usage would, like, a lot of people wear t-shirts, so it must be. See what I mean? It is a good idea, isn't it?
It's a great idea.
We'll just have to invent it. We'll invent it one day, Tony.
Reactions off. Found it.
Oh, he's finding now. He does it. Oh, there we go.
Done.
So speaking of curing, I keep running into an issue where I'm setting 5 alarms off.
It's because you've got a little buddy.
Well, every time now that and it sort of just pumps it into air. Every time now that I move my dryer downstairs, especially so I did a big full size 18-inch print and the water-based evaporating, it's filling the room up and it's saying bleeding fire alarm off. So I've got to try and get some sort of ventilation now. And I don't want to just I have got like one of those orange, with long tubes. It sounds like a jumbo jet. I don't really want one of them on every time I print. So I'm going to have to get some installation installed. Ventilation.
I'd just drill a big hole in that wooden floor and run it out that window outside.
Straight up.
Yeah, just let it come out that window. Open that window up there. And
you're laughing and joking, but to be honest,
that is the best solution.
Save some fanning about, won't it?
Yeah. And
especially if I'm not going to be here too long.
Yeah, well, I'd make it into a trapdoor so that your landlord's not annoyed and you don't use any working space. And then just when you're printing, open the trapdoor because only nobody's going to fall down it. And then when you're done, close the trapdoor. And this is a good way of getting stuff open downstairs.
Well, yeah, just like lob it down.
That's what I do. Trapdoor, mate. Exactly what I do. Big 4-foot hole in floor and roof.
So on your visit, that was kind of the basis of your visit, really? Just try to add a little bit more finesse and getting the machine running a little bit more smoothly. Swapping out inks, which is a massive investment, really, when you think about it. It's something that I've sort of toyed with. And at one point, I started dwindling down my current ink system. So instead of ordering 5 litres or 5 kilograms or whatever it is, a time. I was ordering for kilogram pots, thinking I'm going to replace the whole system. So once the big tubs have run out, I'll get a smaller one until I've only got smalls left, and then it's a little bit more palatable to swap that system out and not feel like you're wasting so much. So it is a big investment, is that? But long term thinking,
so
is quite beneficial.
Here's my answer to that investment. While I was there, we ran a 7-colour Lainey Wilson tote bag job. Okay,
saw that. Real nice.
It made to look distressed, by the way. It wasn't patchy.
Oh no,
made to look distressed, and it was a test of the registration system. So when on install, one of the off contacts on the flash, so it wasn't important, was sticking. I think you had the same problem.
I did.
The off contact
Fixed
collar
it.
sticking. Yeah, WD-40.
Yeah.
Well, they called the technician out. Rightly so. It's a new machine. It's under warranty. It needs a technician. So the technician came, and he wanted to get to that press, and we just set this 7-colour job on it. We'd done about 100 pieces. It's 1,500 pieces. So we're like, the technician's like, well, I need to stop you. And he said, it's all right. That machine's not running. We'll just take the screens out of there, put them in there, and continue to run. I was looking at that. Oh, I set it up again. No, we've calibrated the press.
Yeah.
That's in the same position as this one. Can we do that? Yeah.
That's a really good test.
So we'll just pop the screens out, put them in the same colour order. We had to move a flash, and then snap the squeegees in, press start. Are you sure? Yeah. Why wouldn't it work? Right, and it did.
Just daunting, isn't it?
I tell a lie. I had one adjustment to make. Okay, this is confession time. I had one adjustment to make. Head 1 was out by about 20 minutes turn on the
20 minutes.
You know,
that's a chunk.
From 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Who calibrated that? 20 minutes. Right? Oh, you dipstick. You're right, Twazek.
So I did the first one, and then I got their technician to calibrate the rest. Their print operator to calibrate the rest, so it was down to his tolerances, not mine. And it all came out, and I'm like, "Well, that colour's out. Well, that's strange, that colour. Which head's in that colour?" That's the head I did. I think it's time to get some more Mr. Magoo glasses, I think.
Oh dear. We all make mistakes, Tony.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes.
So now it's calibrated perfectly, and it was just that one adjustment, and off we went. We were running again. And it's funny, the technician took off the part, which is quite a task, so they could work on a bench to work at this stuck thing. And I looked at it.
Yeah, went to that extent.
And I went, so that looks a bit tough. He went, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's proper Loctite. Don't know what it is. I said, we'll try some WD-40. Really? So just in there and in there, put 2 squirts in it, went, it's fucking hell, Tony. Why can't you tell me that before I took the part off the press? Now I've got to recalibrate it.
I just think that particular part, as a brand new piece, so it's so precisely milled and engineered that it's a little bit. It just needs that little bit of wear in it to start, to free it up.
It's almost too new. Yeah,
it's not a defect. New. It's just it's a testament to how well it's engineered.
It sticks because it's that new. All right,
so just stick a little.
You've earned your money. All right, calm down.
So if you want a precisely milled off contact, get in touch with MHM Direct GB. Yeah, a bit of WD-40 freed it up, no bother. Totally fine. So
we were talking about the expense of changing. We changed it over. We printed another 100 pieces.
Right, expensive.
And we had to stop the press because we were getting build-up. Now, build-up is something that we used to get back in day when I were a lad and all this were fields. Back in day. 100 or so impressions of wet ink underneath the screen would cause a heavy, thick, clay-like deposit underneath the following screens. And this is purely a reflection of the quality of the ink.
Yeah.
I don't work for an ink company. It's not in my interest at all to make you spend more money on ink. But the less money you spend on ink, the more time that press is stopped. Think about it. This was a 1,500 piece run. 100 pieces required us to get underneath with a metal scraper.
Oh, really? That bad? Not just a rag?
On a high tension mesh and scrape off. So it's risking breaking. I said, please don't. I either can't watch or you'll have to go get something plastic, a card or something. Don't put metal on it. And the total time stop was about 5 minutes. Now, I'm going to do that 15 times. That's an hour and 10 minutes. 3 people on press. Average salary over here is about $20 an hour. That's 60. It's cost you $80 you've had to get out of your pocket in lost production, where you've just not produced anything. And that's what it's cost you. Now, let's say you were getting $2 a print. So you're getting $2 a print. You've just lost an hour and 10 minutes of production at $2 a print. If we're running at, we're running at 600 to 700 an hour, 600 an hour, then all of a sudden it's cost you over $1,000 to have that bad ink. $1,200. You were doing maths. You were doing maths in background.
Use calculator.
I picked numbers that were easy to work on, but
I still use calculator.
It's $1,200 lost revenue. You know, you can work out your own profit percentage on that. I'm not going that far, and you're doing that every 1,500 pieces purely to save spending $5,000 to save throwing away $5,000 on ink, because even if you buy ink, you're going to use it. So you have to look at it. Okay, well, I know it's going to cost me $5,000 this month, but I'll save that this month just by changing over to a brand that doesn't build up. Now, I only know one that guarantees it, but I know the top 2 are very, very good also. And this is why these 3 always feature in my top 3 ink brands. Wilflex is number 1, doesn't build up. Rutland is now owned by Wilflex Aviant, and that doesn't build up, but it does a little bit. But it's nowhere near as bad as Sericol and Max Opaque and Lancer and Excalibur and all those strokes.
Different type of ink.
Made for opacity, not made for wet on wet.
Yeah.
And then International Coatings uses that same sort of like no-build technology. Famously in the UK, if I could do this without being sued, famously in the UK, Sericol, which I don't think is a brand anymore, I think it's owned by someone else, guaranteed that their ink wasn't build-up. And the only thing that was non-build-up was the sticker that they put on the tub that said non-build-up. Because the ink was exactly the same. It still built up every 100 prints. And it was part and parcel.
No way.
The mask somebody stopped me, 180,000 job that I told you. Underneath those screens on the floor was a huge pile of shavings of clay-like ink of every colour. Well, religiously, every 80 to 100 shirts, you have to stop. There's a palette knife there with a rounded edge, and we'd scrape it off, give it a wipe, and on we go.
Right.
And we got so good at it that we just accepted it. It's only when I famously remember Wilflex coming into the Jam Factory up in Leeds, and I think it was Andy McDonald, the screen rep, still works there. And he said, well, we've got this ink called Genesis. It's guaranteed no build-up. Nah, bullshit. It's just part of the process. We just get used to it. Well, honestly, it's no build-up. How much is it? It's 30% more expensive than what you're paying. I'm not paying 30% more for the same ink. Fuck off. Go on your bike.
But you save it, don't you?
And then we look at all the savings on lost time over 5 presses. It would have been crazy not to do it.
No. God. Well, we've learnt something there, haven't we?
Yeah, don't ask Tony a question. He goes off on a tangent. You only ask me how I what.
So you're in New York, yeah?
Can you tell I've got a bit more time today? I don't have a plane until 5 o'clock.
I know, you've not given me a secret nod yet.
It's only 10 o'clock, and I don't fly till 5.
Well, if you've got time, shall we have a listener question and an Anti-Moiri?
Absolutely.
I'll start with a listener question because I've been meaning to do it for...
on Anti-Moiri.
Sorry, we're not finished. We've got a couple more.
No, before we start on, have you given it any thought to who it is, or have you just accepted that it's a character?
Have I given it any thought? I spent past year fucking pulling my hair out and working out who it is.
I've just accepted that it's just a pseudo character now, and I've stopped trying to work it out.
Whoever it is,
not enough
whoever it
clues.
is, plagued my dreams for about a year.
They're in your head.
Honestly,
they're living in your head rent free.
they're chuffing now. Not kidding. So we'll move on. We'll go to listener question first.
Okay.
Afternoon, Chippy Tee. Question that I'm not sure you've covered on the podcast. If you have, sorry to bring it up again. How do you feel about bagging for retail customers? Don't make a teabag joke.
We've been in this too long. You knew exactly where I was going. Exactly where I was going. As long as you're both consenting, it's fine.
Oh, I'm bad.
Now say it again without laughing.
How do you feel about bagging for retail customers? Oh, you ruined it. How do you feel about bagging for retail customers? And do you think the price to charge is worth the time and effort? I've recently had a customer order 500 shirts and wanted them bagging. I normally charge 30p a bag, but feel the amount of effort that goes into this is totally undercharged. It's a full day's work for me as a one-man operation, as is for yourself, Danny. Do you think the pricing should be increased on this service, or should it stay the same? As this is around the same price that bigger shops charge. This is one of those where it catches me as well, because theoretically we should be charging independently, but there are certain things like inner net prints, bagging, folding, whatever, these little add-on services that if you were to charge per hour at a reasonable rate to you, which would be different for every shop. Like I say, for me and the listener, a one-man band, that price would be significantly higher than the shop with dedicated staff to do it. But then if you did charge that, you just get left behind. You won't be able. Nobody buy it, and you just go to bigger shops. So you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot. So you almost have to charge that lesser price just to stay competitive. So it's a difficult question, isn't it?
It is. It's
what's right or wrong?
It's a really difficult one. Remember the golden rule: we don't sell products at all.
Sell time.
We sell time. If it takes you an hour to print 100 T-shirts, you sell those T-shirts at the time it took you. If it then takes you an extra 2 hours to bag those T-shirts, that's actually an hour's lost production. So you can't price it. The only way that it's priced at 30p is, like you say, a dedicated staff or a dedicated department who have the same rules as you. Okay, what am I paying you? Oh, you're paying me a tenner an hour. Okay, how many pieces can you do an hour? 100. Right, well, it's dead simple then, isn't it? I've got a price per piece.
Yeah.
And we have to look at how many pieces you can bag per hour. Now, back in the day when I was doing mass production, we had machines to pack, and we had a team of packers. That was a department. I got 2 guys in to run the Jean-Michel packing machine, which was basically you lay the shirt down on a belt, it goes in, folds it, cards it, bags it, and it pops out at the end. And they were faster than a print machine. So we go back to old prices, back in very early 90s, and we were charging about 45p to print a full colour print. Wow. And we could get around about 3,000 a day. Well, the bagger, 2 people, not 3 or 4, 2 people could get me 5,000 in the same amount of time. So if it was faster to bag than print, then the price came down to around about 30p.
Yeah.
Well, it was about 15p plus the price of the bag, or whatever it was. But either way, it was less. It cost less time to bag 3,000 pieces than it did print 3,000 pieces. So
therefore, it was valued correctly.
It was cheaper than the print price.
Yeah.
Now, if you're charging £1 to print 100 T-shirts, that's a gross revenue of 100 quid, and you're basically contributing 100 quid an hour to your business. If the next hour you only contribute 30 quid to your business because it took you an hour to pack them.
Oh.
You know what's happened, don't you? What always happens?
Forgot to put 50p in.
I've run out of battery.
Oh dear.
I know it's run out of battery.
It's not like you.
So,
talk about bagging,
So
for value.
So if bagging takes longer than printing and we're only selling time, it should be equal to or more expensive than. And the fact that, I'll get left behind because the guy down the road's doing it. You don't print cheaper because the guy down the road's cheaper.
Some people do.
We shouldn't do. And if the only way you can offer bagging is to charge an extra £1, then the customer's going to have to accept it unbagged.
Yeah, but then what do you do when that customer says, "Oh well, fuck you, I'll go next door"?
You have to lose it, or employ somebody to bag. And if you employ somebody to bag while you're printing, and you pay them a tenner an hour, and they do 100 an hour, it's only cost you 10 pence to bag.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the you if you want to earn a tenner an hour, and an hour's worth of your time produces either 100 prints or 100 bagged, then you have to sell them at the same price. And if you can find somebody to work for a tenner an hour and they produce 100 bags, then it's happening at the same time as you are printing. It's the whole screen cleaning thing that you have.
Yeah.
Nobody pays to clean the screen, but if you're not printing and you're cleaning screens, you're losing money.
Yeah.
And at some point, if you've got 40 hours worth of work on that press, and you only do 30 because 10 of it you are cleaning screens, more fool you. Pay somebody to do the 10 hours worth of work that doesn't cost you any lost production time.
Yeah.
We used to send, find a service. Find a service that'll bag you for 30p. Ring somebody up and say, "I've got 100 bags, will you bag them for 30p each?" And if they say no, then that's too cheap. And that your customer can't get them bagged for 30p. Or employ your mother-in-law and say, "Bag these at home while you're watching Blades of Glory."
I'm going to say, just rope your mum into it or get your bird down or whatever for as long as you can get away with.
I used to hate unbagging.
Oh, well, do you know what? Not so often. You don't often see it nowadays. Should be a service charge for...
I used to charge it. Look, it's going to cost me one guy, and his job all day is to unbag them 2,500 high vis.
Yeah, don't underestimate that. That can take hours. If you get a box of 1,000 t-shirts and they're all individually bagged, unpacking them bastards.
I had the supply company buying the high vis from a supply company. And the supply company charged me 5p for individual bagging. As in, they came to me individually bagged. So I don't want them individually bagged. That's what it's part of that process, and it's an extra 5p. Well, I want them printers fold. So what you're saying is, I've got to pay for you to bag it, and
for me to then unbag them,
and then I've got to pay somebody to unbag them. And no, it doesn't work like that. So we ended up doing a deal where I got a better price for the high vis delivered as printers fold. And then they all sublimated in the box. And the black stripe appeared on them all. I'm like, these are all got a black stripe on. Well, you asked for them without a bag.
God. Nothing's ever straightforward, is it?
No. You're a printer. You're never going to win.
Well, the theory is right. Obviously, I think the two ways to go about it to improve your life and to redeem some of that money back is look at automation and look at help. And I think you've just described a situation where there were two members of staff folding and they had automation. And at that point, they're making the money back.
Yeah.
If they were charging 30p a bag, they're making money, they're in profit. If me and me old mucker, I know who it is, I've just gone blank. I'll tell you who it is later. If you're listening, I haven't forgot who you are, just having a brain fart. But
Haley,
me and my old mucker Michael.
Oh, there you go.
Me and my old mucker Haley. Me and my old mucker Michael, at 30p, we're taking a hit a little bit here. I'm not saying I charge 30p, but not a million miles off. Really, when you put the... Well, That depends. If you're 500 t-shirts and it's a day job, that does sound quite slow.
I'd employ,
How are you doing it? Are you
I'd pay
doing it by
somebody piece
hand?
for it. I'd get somebody in and say, right, here's some cash. I'm going to give you 20p for every shirt you fold. Piece rate.
Yeah, I think so.
Packing's a piece rate job.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Yeah. Just get help. Get help, because if you start putting your prices up to what it's really worth, nobody's going to pay you. So you're just going to have to deal with the fact that you just have to
500 pieces
get
a
help.
day. If you're a manual printer, that's a day's printing.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's writ off a day, isn't it? It's a day. If it's a day, it don't matter whether you're a manual or an auto print. If it's still a day written off either way.
Yeah.
So Anti-Moray reckons. Hopefully that hasn't answered your question. I don't think it has.
I don't think it has. There isn't a good solution other than, we've got to try and value what we provide. And it's very easy to give that devil print that you've just held up and say, well, the guy down the road who's got £2 million worth of equipment can turn that round in 2 hours and is only going to charge me 15p. What do?
You've got to be stubborn.
Do you lower your prices? You can't. You say, look, this is what I offer. It's this much. Do you want it or not?
You've got to be stubborn. You've got to know your value. You've got to know your worth, and you've got to value appropriately. And if you've also got to be confident that you can, be stubborn about it and say, look, this is my price. This is what it's worth. It's a fair price. It's a fair value that means I can pay my staff or I can pay myself.
Or it's a service I don't provide. Yeah.
And you'll get a good product. And if they turn around and say, well, I'll just go next door, it's a bit cheaper, you've got to then also be confident in yourself to replace that work. And if you're not, then that's when it becomes problematic because you're sending people away and not filling that void. So it's a tough one, but I think you've just got to know your worth and know your value and charge appropriately. Otherwise, we all end up undercutting each other. And before you know it, which to an extent we already probably are biting our own noses off, we're undercharging for certain things, or most things probably. Probably in the grand scheme of things, undercharging for a lot. But Anton-Moray would like to know, how are you two? How are my two darling nephews? Well, the colder weather has broken records everywhere this year, but we are still enjoying the warmer weather. Do you know what I mean? These little curveballs. She does on purpose. Sometimes in summer, I wonder whether some climate-controlled aircon might be an idea, but it's tricky with a tunnel dryer blasting out hot air. Not to mention the team members doing the same. Chuckle.
Fart joke. Awesome. So someone of a certain age then.
Was that a fart joke or was that hot air as in
speaking?
Talking rubbish?
I think it was a fart joke.
Well, fart jokes are funny, aren't they? Tony, I hope you have visited the doctors and got the once-over since returning from Vegas. You know what they say, what happens in Vegas usually follows you home with a course of antibiotics for 6 weeks. And Daniel, the same is true of Amsterdam, be warned. Anyway, I'm taking my bird to Amsterdam, so that rules that issue out.
Calls to Newcastle, mate. Calls to Newcastle.
Anyway, I have a couple of questions for you relating to turnaround times that I thought you might have a handle on. Namely, what's your typical turnaround time for orders? How often are orders delayed? Thanks from your Anti-Moray. Well, it's an hard one for you because you don't actually have a shop. But for me, as a rule of thumb, I like to say 1 to 2 weeks. Well, no, I don't actually. I like to say 1 to 2 weeks when I'm killing it, or 2 to 3 weeks when I'm pulling my hair out.
Which is about average. People expect about 7 days. I blame sort of like Next and places like that where you could order stuff at 9 p.m. at night and it arrived at 10 a.m. next day. And Alex was the next example.
Yeah.
But that's a pricing structure as well. I'll give you three prices. You've got gold, silver, gold, and platinum. Silver gets you in a week. Gold, you pay an extra 30% more on the price, and I can get you in 3 days. Platinum, double the price, I'll get there tomorrow, which all goes back to what we're selling. We're selling time.
We've all got different selling points. Time can be used as a selling point. If you want to, or turnaround can be used as a selling point. If your selling point is turnaround next day or within a couple of days, cool, that's great. And in that case, your turnaround wants to be 1 to 2 days, or whatever, increasing in price the sooner you get it. For me, that's not my selling point. I'm not set up for that. It's not something that particularly tickles me fancy. So for me, the sort of the average 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 3 at a push, depending on the complexity of the job, suits me fine. And I feel like most people are prepared to wait that. I don't get complaints. How often are orders delayed? Not often really, because I'd just put the extra shift in when it gets a bit backed up and I'm sweating it a bit to get these orders out. I just put the night shifts in. But I'm finding myself doing that less and less. So,
I used to... my turnaround time was fluid according to the planned production. And it moved between 5 and 10 days. And I used to try and keep everything at 7. And if it got busy, I wanted an extra 3 days so I wasn't climbing into a hole. And if I'd managed to climb myself out of a hole, I'd go to the sales gal and say, look, for the next 3 days, offer a 5-day turnaround.
Cool. Yeah.
I think Alex's method is a lot better in that, look, how important is the delivery date to the customer? If it's important to you, you'll pay more for it. So if you'll pay more for it, I'll do it quicker. I'll bump you up the queue. Fast track. You got Alton Towers, and you're like, you're going to sit in the queue or you're going to go to the front? How much is go to the front? Extra tenner. Yeah, okay. So I famously went to a place. I didn't famously go to a place. I previously went to a place. Fucking
so famous.
What a dick. I got
famous Tony Palmer.
I got recognised in an airport again.
You never did.
I did, yeah. On my way to Florida.
Was that the security officers?
That's it.
Can you put that away, please, sir?
Got pointed out on the train. That's the guy who's...
Can you stop touching that lady's t-shirt?
Yeah. Didn't know where you were going with that one. I worked for this place who were promotional printers. So, in short terms, pens, rulers and bottles. Hard good place. Proper tangent link. UV ink, where I played with the UV ink.
Yeah, you see that a lot in that type of thing, don't you?
So they,
golf balls,
golf balls, pens, pencils, rulers, plastic bottles, superb place, and that is a saturated market. Every man and his dog's doing that, and they're doing it for next to nothing. So it's a real race to the bottom. They've already hit the bottom. Promotional market. It's not about quality. It's all about put Joe hairy ass builder on it, and give me 100 of them. Yeah. So they had a USP. They were okay. Well, our quality is the same as everybody else's. The price is probably the same as everybody else's. We've got all the stock on the floor of every blank you could possibly imagine, and if not, we can get it next day. So we offer same day or 24-hour turnaround. So you ring us up at 3:00 today, and we will have you, no matter the quantity, we will have your goods to you by 3:00 tomorrow. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's what everybody said. But we charge through the roof for it, which means that our niche, our USP, our little market that we've cornered is the rush order market.
Yeah.
There's no point us trying to compete for the guy down the road who can print pens on the same machine as us, at the same pace as us, at the same quality as us, and what we keep going, a penny cheaper, a penny cheaper, a penny cheaper. No. All we can do is go faster. So we are so well organised in our office, not on the production floor, in the office, that we can process the order, get it through to production. That production starts and it finishes 24 hours later. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's a great thing to do. So that is using the delivery date as a USP, a marketing tool.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then it's just straightforward. Well, how long is it going to take me to do? 7 days should be fine.
Yeah. I feel like
It's fluid. I think it's fluid.
I feel like if you're pushing 3 to 4 weeks consistently, it's time to say, well, look, I need to automate more or take on more staff or whatever.
Hire a
or
consultant.
even put your prices up a notch.
Hire a consultant.
Just hire Tony, obviously. But it's USP based. You know, if turnaround's part of your USP, then obviously you need to increase that time. Depends where you are, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
So that was Anti-Moira and Michael from rock band. You'll know what it is. Band shirts.
Obscure.
He used to work somewhere. Now he does it himself.
Oh right, I know. Yeah.
The shop's
merch.
left me head.
Evil merch.
There we go. Evil band merch.
Evil band merch.
Is it evil band merch?
Yeah. Michael.
There we go. I knew we'd get there in the end.
Yeah. But in that case, Michael, get your mother-in-law to do it.
If it's not one problem, it's your mother. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So what's your plan for today then, Mucker?
Flying to Cincinnati. So more in the middle of the country. Meeting up with Big Dave. Big Dave, we're going on a road. We're going on a road trip round.
You got him a bag of squishes?
Yeah.
Or squashes?
Some squashes. Did I save him some squashes, or have I eaten them all?
I was walking through the shop the other day and I saw a bag and it's just reminded me.
There we go. Look, there's my squashes. That's my payment for my Uber driver for the next week, which is Big Dave Garrick knocking it out of the park in the Midwest, well, all over really. He gets where Watter can't, as we say. And so got a bit of time next week in the Midwest with him, and then the diary's open for a little bit of fluidity. That would be. I think I'll be around.
So you're staying in
Minneapolis area.
You're staying in America and you're just going to sort of play it by ear type of thing?
I've got bookings, but some of them rely on the fitting of a machine. Some of them rely on position and location. I had a guy cancel on me down in San Diego, so I'm trying to get back to him before I go home. Not due to go home until end of March. Well, due to go home early March and then land in Belgium, then from Belgium to Vespa, and then I'll go home. I booked 2 flights really close together, thinking that I would have a day at home, and as it turns out, I've got about 6 hours at home, and I'm just debating now whether to just stay in airport. I don't know.
Well, it's an expense, isn't it? For the sake of 6 hours. Seems a bit...
It's a 3-hour drive, 6 hour home, 3-hour drive back.
It's like pointless.
Yeah.
But are you back after that, like, after a couple of days, or is it another, long slog?
Straight out for a week in Belgium on a new install guy that's just bought 2 presses, and then Vespa Amsterdam, which I'm just trying to sort out the designs for now. That was the phone call I had to answer it right at the beginning, sorting out the designs for Amsterdam. And then...
Is it just a picture of me and you?
Me, you and that press.
Me and you and that thumb icons, just loads of them in background and balloons and stuff.
That, yeah.
I'd make a good little print, actually. I'd wear it.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah, busy, but you've caught me on a good day. I've got today's what we call a travel day, and I booked a very late flight out. We got 12 inch of snow yesterday.
Bloody love snow.
12 inch came down in a day. When I were in Colorado, 14 inch came down in a day. I'm beginning to think it's fucking me. It's following me around. If it snows,
but you're
on
a sunny beach not long ago.
I know, yeah. If it snows in Cincinnati, I'm screwed. It's definitely following me.
Not brought your thermals out, have you?
I have actually, yeah. Everything's back in pack, mate. I've got a woolly hat. I've got gloves, 3 jumpers. The only thing I ain't got is boots.
Ain't got no boots.
No boots, no.
I feel like in America we're a little bit more prepared for snow. So, like, if you're walking down the road in America, you're less likely to fall on your ass. Whereas you get a fraction of a mil of snow over here. It's like a death trap.
Well, number one, nobody walks over here, so you won't fall over walking because nobody walks. But
no
yeah,
paths.
the roads get cleared quite easily, quite quickly. And I'm in the northeast. It snows a lot. They're used to it. I say it hasn't snowed like this for a couple of years, but even when it does, 2 hours, it's all gone.
Well, Tony, my old mucker, my old sausage, my old pal.
Have you got yourself a
Just
spinny
treated you.
chair?
Just treated you to 2 spins here.
Wow. Is that a fresh cut
What a
as
rare
well?
treat. What a rare treat. No, it's a couple of weeks old. Let's knock it on Eared, because I've got a couple of free colour jobs to run off before I go see our Early Bobs.
Yeah.
It is Valentine's Day. I should probably go see you.
Yeah.
We're going to spend the night working on the clothing brand.
Okay.
That's romantic, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Because she wants to, launch it on Sunday. Well,
Okay.
she's going to make me some pancakes, though, so
Oh, yesterday.
I'll let her off. I'll take pancakes in return for payment. It's Pancake Day today, you know. Oh, no, it was yesterday, sorry.
Yesterday, yeah.
Did you have any pancakes?
Pancakes mean something different over here. They're like the big, thick things you have for breakfast with maple syrup on.
Oh, they are nice, but not like the traditional.
They're not a Yorkshire
flat
pancake like your
things
granny
that we
used to make. Yeah, thin and crispy. Looks like it's been folded down back at settee for an hour, and then you
Bloody lovely though, isn't it?
you put artificial lemon juice out of a plastic lemon that's shaped like a real.
You
lemon.
do. And a shitload of sugar.
And a shitload of
Give
sugar.
you a brain aneurysm.
What the fuck is that about?
Isn't it weird? Lovely though, isn't it?
The food's that bad. You've got raw citrus acid on it, and then to hide the taste of the citrus acid, you put fucking raw sugar on it.
So, topic of today, which you can comment like after you've liked and subscribed below, is tell me what you like on your pancakes. Personally, I like to play it traditional, and I like a bit of citric acid and about 17 tablespoons of sugar. So, what are you having on your pancakes? Comment below. Considering most of our listeners are international, probably get 0 comments because I won't know what we're talking about.
I'm not sure they do Pancake Day over here. I only know it's Pancake Day because of social media. I only know it's Valentine's Day because of social media. That's a different subject.
Why? Well, yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know, because somebody tried to sell me a box of Maltesers. I said, what for? I said, oh, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, you know. Oh, right, shit.
Another Hallmark holiday.
Yeah.
Who says romance is dead?
Right, let's go.
Right.
Let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's do this.
So, thank you very much for listening. You have been listening to me, Tony P from Palm Print, and
Danny D from Flipping Sleep Co. And listen up, you little bastards. If you do not like this video and comment, I swear to God.
I'm coming for
God. I will hold it against you eternally.
I'm coming for the
So
right.
please like and subscribe.
I'll leave it at that. I'm scared.
Just a bit of bants. Just a bit of bants. That way out today.
Yeah.
That way out.
Right, so all that remains to be said is
All best of it.
I'll see you.
Catch you on flip side.
Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry Kool-Aid. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tee.